Are we live? Because I see live on YouTube.
Yeah, we finally got live. 1 second. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this town hall. This is our last town hall of 2019. We have a very full agenda, so let's get started. First, we will have a POPs update, and I will be giving the POPs update. Okay, so POPs kind of in 2019. As you can see, here are our numbers. And then just to explain these numbers to you, you can see that our head count was at 61 this year. We hired new people. It was either generally to replace outgoing contributors or to add new skill sets because we needed new areas of expertise. NIM was the only team that grew significantly in this year. And then with turnover, here you can see it's pretty significant looking at the beginning of this year with 51%, which was roughly about 33 contributors leaving status. The bulk of this turnover happened at the first month of this year, January, with notice periods of those who were let go during crypto winter. Okay, and then let's see. Global spread. Our 61 contributors are spread through the world with the highest concentration in Europe and Africa. We have core contributors in 24 different countries, which is really cool for such a small group of people to have such a diverse makeup. Hiring statistics, some fast stats. We received 2,247 job applications in 2019 and converted 12 of those into new hires, with 69% of applicants being open to payments in crypto, which is up from 50% in 2018. Kudos. Our top Kudos recipient in 2019 was Johnny. So congratulations, Johnny. A special mention to someone who has touched virtually every part of Status in 2019, from launching the Status Network, being a one-man marketing powerhouse, and getting involved with community votes, liquid funding, community, and so much more. Major props, Johnny, and thank you for everything. Okay, POPs teamwork in 2019. The vibe this year was very much about collaboration. We branched out beyond the usual HR and partnered with multiple teams to aim to provide organizational support anywhere we could help. So as you can see here, we helped with team budgets, goal settings, contributor wellness experience, ops, offsites, engagement surveys, comms, hiring, community growth, and compliance. POPs focus for 2020. We have two main areas to focus this year: engagement. This year we want to keep a closer pulse on the organizational health so we can understand what's going well and what's not. And contributor experience, we aim to be creative and not afraid to try new things to promote contributor happiness. Shout outs. So shout outs this year, special Hall of Fame shout outs to Roman and Andre for 3 years working at Status. Congrats, you guys, it's huge. And then honorable mentions, we have a bunch of people who are coming up on 2-year anniversaries. So we have Tatiana, Andy, Jack, Michelle, Johnny, Jason, Eric, Vladimir, Oscar, Adam, Ricardo, Andre, Sergey, and of course, myself. And of course, huge thanks to every single contributor. You rock. We're super grateful for all of you being here with us on this journey. Okay. And as a recap of 2019, it wouldn't be complete without a quick mention to the journey that was 2019. It's a testament to the dedication, teamwork, and resilience of everyone on the team. To borrow the metaphor we heard in Jared's crypto winter update in 2018, the year started with stormy seas, but you all stuck with it and pulled together to sail the ship through turbulent seas. And since then, despite the inevitable highs and lows, which go hand in hand with crypto, we've been on the up. We've come so far to have built the status network to where it is today, and it's amazing. So thanks for everyone. Can't wait for 2020. So without further ado, perfect segue, Jared will be taking this slide for 2020.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rajani. Can you go back a slide? In coming close to 2019, we can say we completed all of our white paper promises. We did this in a span of 2 years from our initial fundraise. The vast majority of projects who traveled a similar path to us can't make that claim. So we should really give ourselves a pat on the back for that. Looking towards 2020, it is a year where all of our projects will finally coalesce and form into a complete picture. With the upcoming release of version 1 and the Waku release following right behind it, we're in a position where we can get status into the hands of real users. This will initially be done by targeting the crypto and private messenger markets. And in doing this, we'll make a significant step towards advancing the consumer's use of decentralized encrypted communications and disintermediated transactions. We're going to deploy a decentralized point of sales payment system using status and Keycard. That means anyone, anywhere in the world can permissionlessly, wow, I should be able to say that by now, start accepting retail payments for the fraction of a cost, and all they need is a smartphone. With Assemble, we'll be making huge steps to opening our development process and touching our principles by being more inclusive. We'll be publishing the code for anyone to deploy and participate in a peer-to-peer fiat to crypto on-ramp and remittance solution. This means anyone, anywhere in the world can become an ATM. That means anyone, anywhere in the world could turn cash into crypto or vice versa. In 2020, we'll also be moving deeper into architecture and infrastructure, specializing in layer 0 technologies and developing new capacities for modeling our systems, institutions, and markets we create. In addition to this, our locked reserve is now accessible, meaning we can start raising crypto analog to Series B, which is what Carl and myself are going to be focusing on in the next 2 quarters. More details to follow on that in January. All of this is now a reality, and it is all happening next year. 2020 is going to be a year that I've been waiting for, and I can't wait for it to come. We'll all finally see our hard work pay off, and it's just the beginning. The future is bright. Next slide. So in addition to all of this, we'll be finding real world use cases to deploy, I think it was autoplay. Yeah. Oh, dang. Oh, in addition to this, we'll be finding real world use cases to deploy our technologies like custom blockchain solutions and smart contract institutions. To the stories similar to the ones that I shared in Istanbul, but another one is the Kachins, a little known autonomous region north of Myanmar that crosses borders with India and China, a population of at least 1 million that have been accounted for in Myanmar. They have been fighting for independence since 1960. That's for 60 years now. And they are now seeking to create their own national currency. They currently use WeChat and Chinese yuan. This is a population which is within our reach to help today from both a scalability standpoint and from what we're ready to do. Our connection to them is through a former peacekeeper turned documentarist, and we're currently trying to build trust with them. I'm looking forward to working with these groups and many more like them and helping them deploy these technologies and hopefully become more sovereign as they progress. There is I did include a thumbnail of the Jingpo tattoo of the famous Burmese MMA fighter who actually identifies with this region and is wanting his people free. Just some interesting trivia. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared. at the end of this, I'll try to reshare out the video so people who are interested can definitely check it out. Okay, coming up next, we have a finance update, and I believe this will be given from Carl.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, could you go to the next slide?
Yep.
Cool, so I just wanted to give a quick recap of our financial situation, primarily just restating what was discussed at our offsite in Istanbul, since it's been a few months now. So in excess of the 150,000 ETH reserve that Status holds, we continue to have runway for the entire team, including open hires until June of next year. The diversification of the reserve from ETH into both ETH and Bitcoin has continued slowly, but will be completed before year end. Stefano, the part-time quant who joined our team, has been working on some more sophisticated models that we'll be implementing for 2020. And then looking beyond the first half of next year, the financing plan for growth is developing really quite nicely. So I've been working with Jared on this in Bangkok, and we expect to share the plans more widely with you all sometime in January, and then begin the roadshow in February, which is exciting. And then lastly, we're currently exploring the ways that we can say thanks to everyone for all of the hard work leading up to the V1 release. We are putting aside a pool of S&T to reward all core contributors, and we'll finalize the specifics on that around the time V1 ships, so stay tuned there. And then very quickly finishing up on a quick admin note, we want to do an early payment cycle for the holiday season, so please try and get your invoices and expenses in by the 11th. And if you want to amend your fiat to crypto split for December's payment, please do so in Bamboo HR by the 10th. And so that's it for me. Thank you so much, everyone. 2020 is going to be a great year.
Great stuff, Carl. Thanks for the update. All right, next jumping, we have a core update, and this will be given to you from Rachel.
Yes, thank you. So wonderful to be ending the year on such a high note. This slide here really only scratches the surface of the amount of work that went into improving the core app this year. And we'll be sure to detail all of this in much greater depth when the release actually goes live. But the most important thing is that users will definitely be able to feel the enormity of the difference when they run V1 for the first time. So on that note, these are the highlights. Status now supports multiple wallets in one Status account. In other words, multiple Ethereum addresses can be watched and managed via the same Status login. There's an enormous amount of underlying work that went into this and into making other features compatible with these changes. But the chief benefit is not only enhanced privacy for our users, privacy and convenience, but the support and integration of Keycard as well. We have new and improved S&T utility features, the highlight of which is undoubtedly, I might be biased, the sticker market. But when V1 is live, you can send adorable little illustrations within chat. And we're going to manually open up the sticker market to any artists and creators out there who would like to share their work on Status. So we'll have a form where you can actually submit your stickers, sell them, and keep all the proceeds directly within Status. Anyone is able to share their work. There's been a lot of work done in UI facelifting, a whole lot of little improvements across the board that add up to really big change. But two of the most important that I'd like to call out are our fresh new onboarding flow, which is very smooth and feels much more welcoming to brand new users. And there are also some really significant changes to the wallet transaction flow. There are also big performance gains, which is a very vague way of referring to a whole bunch of stuff that happened under the hood this year, primarily to do with the removal of app state storage from Status Go to Status Go from Status React, dropping services like Firebase, and then also several protocol breaking changes, all of which add up to the fact that the app starts up much faster, chats load much faster, and the interface feels overall more responsive than it ever has before. One thing I don't on the slide, but would like to mention the fantastic work by Anne, the crew at LimeChain, who built DApp.ps, DApps, which is our new fully decentralized DApp directory that supports community staking for the addition and ranking of DApps, which you can explore through the browser. Next slide, please. So as for 2020, you may be following along on Discuss, where we have a roadmap thread keeping track, but roughly the first quarter of work is scoped. Aside from the work that we'll inevitably do to support the initiatives of the full Status network, so from Embark to Assemble to the payment network, the emphasis is really for the core app going to be on improving the chat experience. So bringing in long requested features such as image sending and chat, And then also creating some fixes, if even just band-aid solutions to start, to core issues such as the app's high data battery. We'd also like to continue to optimize UI responsiveness, specifically looking at how we can do better on older devices, knowing that there's still a lot of improvement to be done there. And we're preparing long-term to use Nimbus in place of our Go Ethereum implementation, which for the layperson is about ultimately running a light node in production that will then enable status to run on a much greater range of devices, including lower end or embedded devices. In the longer term, we're also replacing our WebView implementation to rely on a better supported community built version, accommodating for new EIPs and updates to the Ethereum providers. And lastly, we're really going to be listening to our users. So this is, again, the first quarter and a bit of work beyond, but the roadmap is going to be heavily influenced by our community and by S&T holders out there. So future versions of this slide are going to rely on those of you listening. And we're looking forward to gathering your feedback in the new year. So that's it from me. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks so much, Rachel. Exciting stuff to see from the core team. Up next, we have an update, and this will be given from Corey and Jakob on security and infrastructure. Up first, we have Corey.
What's up, y'all? So not a lot going on here. Most of the same stuff going on as previous. We have an article that's out on the website that discusses the status mobile app V1 audit, how it went and what's next. You can find that in the link there. Nimbus has been added to Sigma Prime's cross client differential fuzzer, which means that we're part of the framework that has continuous fuzzing on all of the Eth2 implementations to check for both compliance, meaning they all give the same answer and all work the same, as well as security on some of the most vital parts for all Eth2 implementations. You can find that repo there to see how that works and help it contributing to it if you're into that type of thing. We have a new junior security engineer hire coming. Really excited to have him on board. Contracts are being signed, so hope all that goes smoothly. So we'll have some help on that end. Corey, was on Block TV discussing the status network. This isn't really security, but talked about status as a whole. You can watch that interview. It's about 12 minutes on that link. I really enjoyed doing that and talking about status. Looking forward to doing more stuff like that. And then some minor stuff, cleaned up some old subdomains that were no longer pointing at things so they can't be taken over maliciously. That's about it on my side.
Cool. Thanks, Corey. And Yaka, infrastructure?
Yeah, hi. So the main thing is, as probably some people noticed, the iOS release, the beta release at least, expired recently. So we re-released the 0.14.2 as 0.14.3 with no fixes, only to essentially keep it live until V1 comes out. Other than that, we moved the status network site to a nicer domain and also enabled Fathom Analytics on that and also a few other status sites. So essentially the whole umbrella of status network sites is tracked by Fathom Analytics, as we explained in our status post. And there's also been a huge amount of upgrades in the build and continuous integration systems that allow us to essentially keep up to date with security fixes and all kinds of other improvements in the build system for Nix packages, for macOS, for Xcode, and also some improvements to our end-to-end tests. And we also managed to clean up some old CI hosts to lower the costs of the continuous integration environment. And there's also a new Discord server for our status community, which is going to be getting more channels there soon. Right now, it's only bridged with the main status channel in the status application, but coming soon, there will be more channels bridged. That's about it.
Cool. Thanks, both. Great updates. All right, next we will be jumping to marketing and ambassador updates, and Jinho will be giving this update. Jinho.
Yeah. Okay, let me update the ambassador program and the translation campaign. We relaunched.
I can start with the marketing update
Okay.
data. So we've had Fathom Analytics running. We had a couple issues up front. So last week was the first full week where we were able to collect data sample size. It's relatively small sample size because we weren't pushing much traffic to our domains this week, but it is helping us benchmark what content's performing well, what domains are driving traffic to our sites. So you can take a look through this, but it's really interesting to see that obviously technical content is performing just far and away better than a lot of our other content. So like Robin's articles that he's writing on the Embark site are performing really well. So we're just going to use this information to produce more moving forward. And we'll also be adding Fathom to the other domains. So this is just what we have right now. And I won't go into too much detail, but you can just have a look through this when we share the deck out. Next slide, please, Johnny. Here's a look at our best performing content over the past month. Once again, just using this as a benchmark before V1 so we know what to dial up and what to dial down. Interesting enough, the status town hall posts where we're just reminding people to tune in, while the engagement on the post itself is not, from a likes and retweets perspective, is not very high. The link clicks or the activity clicks are really high. I think it was 1%, which is 1% of our audience, which is 1,000 clicks. So people are watching the town halls and are tuning in, which is awesome. And then the general announcements perform really well. Obviously the status network with 120 likes or 119, and then the Q3 report, which was our best performing content of the quarter. So I think people are just appreciating the transparency in what we're doing. So we're going to be keeping those up. So kudos to Carrie and everyone involved on that. And then as of late, the DApp store posts, we're inviting people to submit their dApps, and then also just a list of other projects that are involved. So it's nice to see, when we tag other partners or other projects in Twitter, the content just performs far and away better. And then finally, demos are performing really well. No surprise there. And when we natively upload, they perform even better. So once again, using this information to just dial up for for V1 and then for next year. Next slide. Here's some data from Discuss. And we've been talking about Discuss quite a bit with John O'Bacon, the community consultant. And the one stat I want to point out here, which is really promising, is the daily active users divided by monthly active users. Typically, we aim for 30%, and we're at 34%, which what it really shows is stickiness in the network, or stickiness in participation. Obviously, a lot of these users are core contributors. But when we look at the data on the next slide, we will see that there are a lot of community members who are getting involved and are staying involved. So this is really promising to see. Next slide. And then here we can have a look at the top posters. And once again, while it is a lot of core contributors, it makes sense because we use this as a form of long form communication. There are active community members, like Yalu is in there quite a bit, amongst other community members. So once again, we'll share this out and you can dig through the data in a deeper sense. But yeah, really promising to see. And we've got a lot of learnings to dial up in next year. Next slide. And over to Jinho.
Okay. We relaunched the ambassador program in late October, and we've received 56 applications until now. After interviewing all the candidates, we've got 30 ambassadors from 12 countries who want to make our vision reality together. We didn't set a limit on the country initially, but had to set it as we had received too many applications from several countries. Carrie and I thought a couple of ambassadors per country are ideal. So at the moment, we don't accept additional applications from countries having more than 4 ambassadors. This could change later if some of the ambassadors from those countries become inactive. Next slide, please. We've shipped 21 welcome kits out of 30 ambassadors. The welcome kits are sent to an ambassador who has completed at least 2 tasks. So it means 21 ambassadors have completed at least 2 tasks until now. Also, 44 ambassadors subscribe to our bi-weekly ambassador newsletter. We keep them up to date through the newsletters, and have received positive feedback on this. Next slide, please. According to our weekend task board, we've got 50 completed tasks until now, and the content creation accounted for 82%. At the time of presentation, there are 21 tasks in progress, and the event category is recording the highest number among those categories. On this, one of our Nigerian ambassadors, Henry Dada, will host a meetup at University of Ilorin on Wednesday. So we are looking forward to having the first meetup hosted in a university. Next slide, please. From introductory videos to open source contributions, we've got lots of content from ambassadors this year. We cannot name all the ambassadors who have achieved this awesome work, but would like to express our deep gratitude for these unbelievable contributions. Next slide, please. So what's next? As I told before, the distribution of our ambassadors' nationality is kind of biased. So we will try to have more ambassadors from a variety of countries from next year. We'd love to have more Latin American, European, and Asian ambassadors. So I'm finding more local blockchain communities and social media channels. Secondly, we have to make sure the momentum of our ambassador program keeps going. To do this, Carrie and I are coming up with some ideas that encourage our ambassadors to participate in the program more, such as collaborative tasks to achieve a common goal among ambassadors, or some challenges with incentives. And finally, we're making some detailed guidelines for ambassadors, such as meetup support guidelines, to have them achieve their goals more seamlessly. I really appreciate Carrie's nice work on this again. Next slide, please. Before finishing the ambassador program update, I sincerely appreciate all the ambassadors who have joined us in our mission and built a better world together. Let's keep this momentum going next year also. From now on, I'm going to share the translation campaign results briefly. Next slide, please. We launched the translation campaign this July, and a lot of translators have contributed to the campaign to help more people utilize our censorship resistance features. 73 translators have translated translated about 71,000 words at the time of presentation, and 6 languages are translated more than 90%. Our ambassadors actively take part in the campaign in particular. For example, after the relaunch of the ambassador program, our Italian ambassadors, Rachid and Enrico, finished the Italian translation together. We're going to review all the translation until the launch of V1 next year. Next slide, please. The status.im, the homepage has been translated into a variety of languages as well, and we already published 4 languages. Arabic translations are finished recently, so we are going to add it to the website soon. Next slide, please. I will try to add more projects to translate next year, and we'll aim to localize our documentation firstly. Besides, I'm planning to promote the translation campaign actively once more to bring more open source translators into the platform. Thank you. That's it from my end.
Thanks, Johnny and Jinho. Great work. Really exciting to see what's coming in 2020. All right, next up we have a Keycard update, and this will be given from Guy Lee. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so achievement from past year for Keycard. Well, there's been a lot ongoing, and there's a lot in the pipe for 2020. First off, I wanted to say that it has involved a lot of you guys. I mean, obviously the Keycard team, but also the core team, design team, testing team, and marketing team. So it's been a really huge teamwork over all these achievements. Can you go to next slide, please? Yeah, oh, sorry. Can you go to past one? Sorry, I was on the wrong one. To the one before, please. Yeah, sorry, and it's next one. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit lost. Yeah, so for the Keycard as a product and a framework, over the year, we really took it from just an applet code to a full product that can be integrated by anyone that wants to use it. We've got now SDKs in Java for Android, Swift for iOS. We also have a handy command line tool for development. We've got an API that's fully documented. This framework and product are now shipped because we have a full manufacturing channel. We've actually manufactured 2,000 of these products. And we've got this website, an e-commerce site, and all the logistic and accounting integration and automatization that's needed to do that smoothly. On the partnership side, we got some integration done this year with Gnosis Safe, both Android and iOS, with Wallet, with Grid Plus, and there are several in discussion. I also wanted to mention that we did a prototype application of a Wallet Connect app to connect a Keycard to any DApp on the desktop. Can you go to the next slide, please? On the status app side, we've talked about it. That's a huge achievement since Keycard is now integrated in V1. There's been a lot of work done here, and now Keycard is seamlessly integrated in status to store the full HD32 wallet of the user in a safe, air-gapped and hardware secure device, which is Keycard. On the payment network side, we had the first demo in April during Hack Week to show payments with Keycard with meta transaction. We've gone through a first step of architecture work for this payment network, and we defined a proposal of architecture. We've released two of the elements of this payment network, a new Keycard applet that we call Keycard Cash. It's been released, and it was necessary to support all these payment scenarios. And a request screen has been released in Status app to allow to turn Status application into a point of sale with a DApp. There are some developments that are ongoing for the proof of concept of this payment network, the smart contract wallet and its factory, and also a regular web app to check what's on a Keycard when tapping this card on a phone, even if it doesn't have a Web3 browser. It's almost done. I guess in the coming days or weeks, you'll see the demo from Andrea. Can you go to the next slide, please? So what's next for 2020? We've got a lot in the pipe, mainly on two things. With the status integration, now that we have Keycard in V1, what we mainly need to do is to improve the user experience, mostly related to the card interaction when you're tapping the card in the UX. We've got some work here. We also left a lot of features on the side while doing V1, and we need to prioritize them for the next releases. And we're going to go through a marketing effort to broaden our audience from developers only, which was the case up to now, to enthusiasts, crypto enthusiasts, since now they can use the Keycard for real with status. And for the payment network, it's going to be a super exciting year. We're going to put a lot of effort here. In Q1, we want to have a full proof of concept of this payment network, allowing Keycard to be used by merchants in a very open and inclusive way. And we're going to work on building full marketing material to explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, building up a website that will lead in Q2 to communication effort. We're gonna pitch that a lot, and we of course want to give some ground to this payment network, and we'll start by building some trials, and we need to build that as partnerships or as events on the ground. And while we're doing that, we're going to improve our proof of concept. That's roughly, yeah, how we see the future for Keycard. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thanks so much, Guy-Louis. That's really exciting stuff for Keycard. All right, up next we have Embark, and this will be given from Yuri.
Oh, hello there. So, well, let's go right to the next slide. So in 2019, we had 3 major releases, where the 4.0, 4.1, and 5.0 very, very soon. So there's a lot of things that could be said in this releases, can be found in the release notes, but some of the highlights, one of course is Cockpit, the UI that includes an IDE and the full block explorer. We added integrated debugger, transaction logger. We made the configurations much easier to use and more flexible for user use cases. We invested a lot of time also making sure the tests were fast, easy to use. And this last part of the year, with 5.0, we put a lot of work on really refactoring the code and re-architecturing the framework. So we essentially, because given where we want to go, we needed to do this thing. It was something that was required, and we now are at the point that the entire framework is pretty much 100% plugin oriented. And the next steps we can give now, we are ready to go there. So next slide. And something to not be forgot, in 2019, we also released a new website and revamped the documentation. We actually had 2 iterations on that. So we released, I think back in February, then we did another release, which we did yet another, we improved the documentation again after we revamped it. Then on next slide, on the fall, we released Subspace. There's a lot more to come for Subspace. It's a really great tool for front-end development and makes the developer experience much, much better. We had a lot of great feedback for Subspace, and we'll continue to improve it. And for 2020, next slide. And for 2020, now that the refactor is out of the way, our big goal will be user acquisition. And that means getting more developers on board with Embark, reaching out to those developers, reaching out to the community, producing more content, be that tutorials or articles. And I'll say how to use at 2.0, how to build apps with Embark. Anything we can do really to reach out to developers. We'll change also our releases. So until now, we have been doing the sort of like big releases like we did in 2019. And we want to switch to a more Firefox style of releases that are much more much more often, and following semantic versioning. And next, we want to make sure Embark is the framework for at 2.0 and other Web3 technologies. So we want to ensure that we support all the needed functionality that is needed to build dApps for those technologies. We want to build and support also development of Web3 dApps, especially dApps that add value and replace existing 2.0 dApps, but using all the advantages of decentralized technologies. And finally, new tools, namely, there's a web IDE we have planned, which essentially involves putting Cockpit, running and Embark itself running fully on the web, which should help a lot with onboarding new users, as well as creating a learning platform. We want to do a DApp builder for status, and potentially any other tools that might come out from at 2.0 work. And now for Teller. So next slide. So Teller, we pretty much implemented everything that was expected or needed in Teller that is possible with the current technology. So you have there's a licensing system that's it needs the SNT. There's an escrow and arbitration system fully implemented. We have feeless transactions, which are great for new users that are don't have any crypto and they need to get crypto. We have anti-spam mechanisms. We have a great UI as filtering. We have a governance mechanism, and we even have email notifications as well for users. We did on the ground user testing and I'll gather feedback and things like at Berlin and even Venezuela, and we change a lot our UI and UX and even some features based on that on that feedback. And there's tools that came out also with Teller in 2019 and integrations we did. We were pretty much the first ones, or one of the first ones to integrate with the gas station network, as we were researching fairly early on this sort of feeless feature. We had integrations with Kyber, so we can ensure that transactions are always made with the SNT that is then burned. Murmur came actually out of Teller as we were researching state channels. From that also came the State2GS API. All these things came out of it. From the chat widget, which is surprisingly popular, GetterBridge, this experiment with the status web client. Quite recently, there was based on your feedback, we realized we really needed some sort of notification. So we came up with this system for decentralized email notifications for dApps. There's a staking system to we came up with, and also Subspace itself came out from what we saw was needed from doing a DApp like Teller. Now for next slide, in 2020, the big goal and really Q1 preferably is really to release the mainnet, and for that implies we're finalizing the documentation, submit that to a security audit, and then do the actual release. And now for the future, and this is not like written in stone or anything, or by no means all inclusive of everything, but some things we have in mind is a Bitcoin integration in part because some markets we have been looking at, there's a huge market for Bitcoin that Teller could benefit from. And there's all the scalability solutions or prior transaction mixed integrations. And this technology we already been looking into. We had been looking to this all year, but they were not quite ready yet. And we're hoping that 2020 might be a year that a lot of these could actually be ready for use and integration. Namely the rollups, it looks very promising as it's something that could actually be used now at 1.0. That's it for me.
Cool, thanks, Yuri. And that actually ends our town hall today. So I will stop streaming from YouTube right now. So those of you who are on YouTube and want to join in, please just hop in the Zoom channel that's shared in the status channel.